almost all of us, have some understanding of creation and atrophy, in Sanskrit known as the yugas. I'm going to reorient us in terms of our understanding of the yugas. In the periods of time, the more selflessness there was, the more safety there was. And the more selfishness there is, the more lack of safety there is. The period of creation that we're living in has the most amount of atrophy. This is why this is called Kali Yuga. Kali means selfishness. And this means there's the least amount of safety. And we feel this. I feel we intellectualize this more. This is happening in Gaza. This is happening in Bangladesh. This is happening in Venezuela. It's happening in our own countries, our own cities, this lack of safety. And so, an individual, a family, a community has to put in effort to be selfless and to share that selflessness in the form of safety. To be active, in the language of Puja Swami Chinmayananda, to be what kind of good? Aggressively good. And so this morning, we have our final knowledge session in our effort for safety. We started on July 4th, that is Independence Day in America. We're now finishing on August 19th, that is tomorrow, in celebration of Raksha Bandhan. Raksha means to be protected. This Bandhan is to feel it and to facilitate it. How can one be active? It is through giving. When someone is giving their best, you know that they're being active. And our community is trying to give their best in the form of resources, time, and effort. These are the three things you can give to society, humanity. In this effort for safety, in reference to resources, we have now given $27,280 to Guitars Over Guns and Broca. We've completed our aspiration in this effort. And you probably don't know this, but we've now raised, since Meaningful Mornings has started, almost $496,000. That's $500,000 to causes that support humans. That is very pride instilling. Giving time. We have had 7 knowledge sessions, which puts us at 108 minutes of learning about gun violence. So here too, we've reached our aspiration, and we'll have one more wellness workshop tonight that will tune into this. And we can give effort. Effort to communicate with our politicians. When I think of a politician, I think of a policymaker. It is the policymaker who really is facilitating what is happening in society. What kind of curriculums go into schools? What kind of food is approved? The same in reference to access to guns. And here we have communicated many times, almost 600 times, but we're trying to reach 1,008. And I know we can do this. We have 48 hours to complete this final round of communication. And so I finish with offering my appreciation to this community, my appreciation to our team for really tuning into Advaita Vedanta. It is the science of feeling oneness. If you feel it, there's only one oneness. You feel this in every human, animal, plant, stone. my appreciation. I am proud of our community and team, and we will KMF. We will keep moving forward. This is a effort for safety. Already I'm meeting with our team to discuss facilitating safety in terms of domestic violence. We're going to keep on taking different facets of violence and try to end this, slow this, whatever we can do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now we have a special guest who will be sharing with us. Team, please continue.
Right. Hari Om. Thank you so much, Vivekji, for having me here today. Just introduce myself. My name is Ashwin Ramaswamy. I'm a candidate for Georgia State Senate. I live in the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia. So my background is growing up. I grew up in Chinmaya Mission Bal Vihar and been involved in various programs since then. And I'll just tell you a little bit about my own run for office and priorities, and then I'm happy to take any questions. And I know you all have thoughts on policy, and happy to share more about the most effective ways to advocate with policymakers. But my background is in computer science and law. What I soon realized was that there's not enough talented people going and working in government, because too often politics is seen as something that's dirty, that there's, corruption, or it's very hard to get really anything done, as you might have seen on TV or what you see there. But one thing to realize is that state and local office is so important, because while people who are national politicians, they're not able to take the time to go and meet with every single one of their constituents. If you're in the state Senate, where you maybe have 100,000 people you're representing, there's much more of an opportunity to actually have that kind of discussion that we need, particularly with advocacy groups, people who care about issues such as gun safety or access to healthcare, or access to education as well. So I decided to start running for office last December. And that journey has been a lot of just going out to the community and listening to them. And I've been focusing on things like community safety. How can we decrease the polarization in politics? And also ensuring that every voice is heard, particularly people whose voices typically aren't. Because in politics, too often, it's the people who are the loudest and the people who actually taken the time and effort to do the advocacy who are heard, which is why it's even more important for us to redouble our efforts in terms of when we're thinking about the issues that matter most to us. We need to speak loudly and speak clearly to people who are in politics. That's the only way in which we'll elect people who represent our values, and ensure that those who are in office will actually focus on the issues that matter to us as well. So I will pause there, and I would love to take any questions or any thoughts in terms of how we can take this conversation next.
Hari Om, Ashwin. We are so grateful that you took the time to be here today. And more than that, we're so grateful that a Chinmaya Mission Balvihar student, Chinmaya Mission teacher in DC area, right? While you were in college, you were actually teaching the youth. And now you're going out and you're speaking on our behalf. And so really, when it comes to asking or speaking to a policymaker, is there like a right way to approach? Do you just pick up the phone and call them? What is the right way for us as a community that probably generally does not feel so confident to do that? What's a good way to do it?
You often can just pick up the phone and call them. And I think in particular, thinking about where is the policymaker's time spent? So you can't just pick up your phone and call the president, because the president has so many people trying to talk with them. But if you start at the state and local level first, it's far, far easier. I've seen this even in Georgia. In fact, a lot of the people who are most involved in policymaking are actually very motivated high schoolers. They just, because they don't have any, inhibitions. They don't think, oh, I don't want to call this legislator. They just end up calling them. And it turns out most people don't even know who their legislator is. And the legislator is very happy to get a call from a constituent and take a meeting with them. So I would say that is the first step. You should look up and see who is your state legislator, and actually go and talk with them. The other thing you can always do is talking with staff as well is another key piece here, especially for people who are at the higher level, whether they're in the US Senate or US Congress. Really forming good relationships with the people who actually who do that work is really important as well. But ultimately, politics takes a team, and it's a lot of hard work. You have to go and advocate to really everyone who is willing to do this work. And sometimes it involves advocacy, and the reality is sometimes it takes money too. Too often, the reason people are able to stay in office is they're able to raise funds to stay there. And really, because there's so much money in politics in other ways, it's also incumbent on those who have the resources to actually think strategically about how can we ensure we're supporting people and keeping them in office who are listening to our priorities as well.
Thank you, Ashwin, for being who you are and doing what you're doing. And we know you do feel that oneness with humanity and with this community. And we all wish you the best, and we will keep supporting whatever help you need. Ask us, as has been shared in the chat. I'm verbally sharing the same. Shanti, Shanti, Shantihi. We offer our prayers to the original protector to protect all who have been affected by gun violence, to protect those who are working to regulate this, to slow this, to stop this. Be joy.